Hey, in this video I'm going to be breaking down exactly how we did the concept piece around the US Open. We essentially restrung rackets with piano strings and experimented with how it would sound to create this fun ad where we're launching our own tennis rackets, major and minor. Obviously this piece isn't real, it's a concept piece, it's something that we wanted to put together around the US Open. If you are new to this channel, we are Hear Me Out. We are a sonic branding agency, which is anywhere a brand has sound, so that's in advertising, marketing, maybe it's product sounds, maybe it is like the Netflix tone you hear in another room and you're like, oh, I know that's Netflix, and you haven't even seen it. Sound is becoming an ever more powerful tool that brands can utilize to unlock value in a different way. That visuals simply just cannot unlock that same kind of value in the same way that visuals can unlock value in a way that sound can't. This ad was a really fun campaign for us to put together that just got us to think about tennis in a different way. So let's start off just with some basics of what it is that we're going to see and go through today. I'm going to show you specific parts that went into creating the ad, and then the importance of sound design and the impact it makes, because I think actually when I was going through the project earlier, I found it really interesting just muting some certain parts and the difference it made. I think negative difference that it made to an ad. And then why piano out of all things? So let's go into the project. Here we go. Now, we would always deliver groups like this to an ad agency, a marketing agency, a branding agency. We would always deliver them in this kind of format. So I'm going to show you quite literally where we get to at the point that we hand over the project to the brand or to the agency in the group format. First of all, let's just play the ad so you can see it, and then we'll break it down bit by bit.
What if tennis could make music? We rebuilt the game by recycling piano strings. The first ever musical rally. Major, minor, available now.
So there we are. There's our new tennis racket range, major and minor. A good bit of fun, as you can see. All the visuals we did with AI. Just we're experimenting with new tools every single day. It is the world we're moving into. If we had budget, obviously we'd throw this into production with a tennis racket brand or a company that would be up for creating something like this. Sadly, we don't have those kind of budgets, and we don't work in visual, but we can certainly put some stuff together that makes the concept come to life. So let's break this down one by one. We've got the voiceover at the top here.
What if tennis could make music?
We don't need to go too much into that one, and we've also got the effects here, and I actually do just want to play this all the way through just with the effects on their own, so you can just hear exactly what's going on in the background with the different layers that you can sort of see in the group here. I love that little slide at the end there with the sound. It's just really fun. So very subtle. It actually didn't need too much because majority is voiceover, so we don't want to be getting in the way of the voiceover too much. And then obviously we've got the music track, which is the main basis as well. So we don't want it to be getting too involved and too distracting. And I think quite often, even with our own projects, we'll start with almost too many sound effects and then start filtering it back. And all you want sound effects to do is just bring it to life. Just make everything feel super real. So for example, at the start here, you know, even the sound of, we've got the sound of a warehouse. Like if you stand in one of these spaces, there's always a fan. There's always some little bits happening. So you can hear the vents that are here. Maybe you can hear this. Like all those layers, I think, really, really add to the overall subconscious feel that you have around a brand. But sometimes you can go too heavy and then you have to pare it back. You know, we've got individual tennis ball hits every time the tennis ball is hit. That is an individual sound that we've put in place to match, obviously, the strikes of the tennis balls. So it can get quite complex, but I think we've kept it intentionally very, very simple here. One thing we have done that is quite a fun little detail is we've added in this bus a gymnasium warehouse reverb. And what this means is that every sound that we've got in there feels like it's in the same space. So it's a fun, nice little detail, but it works really well. You do genuinely feel like all these sounds were recorded in a warehouse, even if they weren't. So next we have piano, my main primary instrument, and used a lovely classical stage piano sound. So this is it just on its own with the piano. Now this led into the sort of classical, almost waltz kind of feel to it, because it feels very tongue-in-cheek. The whole ad is very tongue-in-cheek, so we intentionally chose the genre of that sort of waltzy classical feel to it. Piano, I think, is a very classy instrument as well. I think the world of tennis has sort of been known as being this kind of classy sport, even though I don't truly believe it is. It's like golf, I believe, is very open to the world, but open to most audiences. But what I really love about this sort of feel of the waltz here is that tongue-in-cheek. It's kind of like, oh, it's normally a very serious piece of music, but we're pairing it with this quite silly idea, and it makes you think, is this real? Is this a serious ad? I think it adds into that quite nicely. And you can see here, even on screen, there's this pause in the middle. And that pause is to allow space for the tennis hits to happen. We don't want it to get intrusive, and this is what I love about bespoke music, is that it allows you to create exactly those pauses, those little moments that you want to emphasize on other things, and then obviously the end that rounds off the ad super nicely, and the tennis rackets doing the little pirouette at the end. And then the first note of the piano coming back in when that ball drops just gives that really satisfying end. So, obviously, here then comes the tennis hits. Which was very fun to try and time on the piano at the same time. And I've actually backed that with some pizzicato strings. Now, violins, when they're played, they can be plucked in a certain way, and that's kind of known as pizzicato. But Bartok is almost like hitting the strings, which had this amazing, like, perfect sound to what you imagine strings being. Strings on a violin are quite tense and tight anyway on any stringed instrument, which mimics, I think, the tight strings of a tennis racket very well, especially if they're going to be tuned by like piano strings. So. I've panned those left and right as well, so if you're listening with headphones, when this woman is diving over to the right, it's slightly lent to the right as well, so you get a good sense of, like, Dolby Atmos in a sense, where it's like spatial and spread out. So that tied in with the piano, I thought, just had a really good dramatic. The strings are adding that very like percussive, organic sound to them, and the piano is adding obviously the whole concept of the piece, which is if it's strung with piano strings, surely it will sound slightly like a piano. So it's all great fun, that moment. So then, of course, on top of it, I've added strings because there was just something about strings for atmosphere. And again, going back to like the tennis racket being strung here at the scene at the beginning, like it just almost looks like a violin. It felt like a violin. It felt like the sound that I would imagine would come from something like this would be along the sense of the strings. But of course, I was going for more experimental strings. So we've got 3 layers here. Of very plucked, atmospheric sounds. Just adds these lovely textures, and so let me play piano, the strings all together. I'll throw in the bass as well. I've used a double bass because, again, the lower strings on a piano are actually a very similar texture and very similar feel to, if you've ever seen inside a piano, to double bass strings. So double bass had that real human, organic feel to it that we were ultimately trying to achieve. So this is just music on its own. Now, it works, but I'm sure you agree that something feels like it's missing. And I guess this comes to my other point that we were talking about earlier, which was this section here, the importance of sound design. Let's just, for a minute, just go back and listen to the project in regards to no sound design and just really focus on like how it feels quite shallow. You know, she's plucking the strings. Here at the start, she's cutting things. But you don't really get the feel that things are being cut. It feels bare. It doesn't feel real. And I do think they're called foley artists, people that do this professionally with movies and with films. And these foley artists, I think, are so underestimated because a lot of films are recorded like this. They are literally silent, or they have a few microphones on set, and it's normally capturing the voices and the vocals. But everything else, like footsteps. If I just solo this on its own, footsteps, the cutting of these wires, people literally have boots and they're like recording the sounds for these movies and pairing all of these things together. So I really feel like you feel that when you just listen to the music on its own. And even here with the tennis hits, like, it's okay, it works, but it doesn't feel embedded. It doesn't feel like it is working in harmony with the instrumentation that's sort of in the the impact of the sound effects and the voiceover and everything else. It just feels a little bit shallow on its own. And I think same with the sound effects. You hear the sound effects on their own, you kind of like, it's a bit arty and it's kind of cool, but it really does feel like it's missing an emotional layer. Even if you had the voiceover on its own with the...
What if tennis could make music? We rebuilt the game.
I think they really require those things all three together.
What if tennis could make music? We rebuilt the game by recycling piano strings. The first ever musical rally. Major, minor, available now.
And so I really feel that it's the combination of those three things together that really, really make the difference and make the impact happen. So I hope that's been intriguing, interesting for you to look through just for a quick 10 minutes. And I hope you enjoy following a bit more of our content and the kind of things we create outside of the brand world. We are working with some really, really fun brands, global brands at the moment, and I'm excited for what's to come in the next year. So do follow along. If you've got any questions at all, I've got my email up on screen. I'd love to have a conversation with you, set up a call, no obligations, all the rest of it. And just hop on and just see if there's any concepts, any ideas. In particular, I'd love to hear from you in terms of, is there any aspect of the brand at the minute that is using sound, but not in a strategic way? There's no guidelines in place. There's maybe no strategy behind the next year or two so that there's some consistency and some cohesion. And then most of all, something I'm hearing a lot more is music licensing issues. We have worked with a lot of brands that have been through a lot of headaches with music licensing, and there are brands out there that are being sued hundreds of millions. Peloton, it was like 370 million. Crumble Cookies this year, or Cookie Crumble, I can remember which way around it is. Marriott International, there's some great brands out there that have been through a lot of headache, and we've learned a lot about it on our side in terms of helping other brands to avoid all of that. So please do let me know if you've got anything at all you want to talk about regarding sound. There's no pressure at all in any way, shape or form to go any further than that call, but genuinely, I love what I do. We love what we do here at Hear Me Out, and we want to help brands utilize sound in a better way, and it elevates everybody, so everybody wins. So do take me up on that offer, and we'll see you in the next clip. See you next time.